Preparations are being completed for the state funeral of the Kenyan opposition politician and the country's former Prime Minister Raila Odinga today. The funeral will be held at the National Stadium in Nairobi, with tens of thousands of mourners expected. At least three people were killed, sadly, in chaotic scenes yesterday at another stadium where his body was lying in state. For an update, we're now joined by our correspondent in Kenya, Alex Kairie. Alex, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Very sad news coming out of Kenya yesterday that something as solemn as mourning led to casualties. Tell us what happened and how many people do we know have died?
Thank you very much, Peter. Currently, the number has since been revised to 4 people confirmed dead, and the number is likely to rise the death toll. That is, and we are also waiting for confirmation on really what happened because that incident was a culmination of chaotic arrival of the body from the airport all the way to where that viewing was supposed to take place by the members of the public. Members of the public who had jammed the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport took over nearly every sector of the airport and disrupted operations. And even the president who had arrived to receive the body formally was forced to leave together with his deputy and other opposition leaders in the government and also cabinet secretaries. So it was a very, very chaotic thing. And I remember the crowds that had gone to receive the body, jamming the streets, causing traffic jams, and disrupting every aspect of life in the city. And this forced the government to change plans because initially the body was supposed to be viewed at parliament buildings. And due to the huge number of people who were there who were threatening to crash into the parliament and breach it, the whole thing was moved to another stadium in the outskirts of the city called the Moi Sports Center Kasarani. And still there, the crowds became so uncontrollable, and this actually forced the security forces present to shoot in the air, shoot tear gas canisters and disperse them so that the body could actually be prepared for viewing because it was still in the body bag. It was very, very morbid.
It sounds as if the authorities should have anticipated the crowds and the numbers, and they didn't prepare themselves properly for this.
It was anticipated. Everybody knew that things could be chaotic because some people have been saying that was the life of Raila Odinga and his supporters. He had a very huge influence on them, and the support was organic, even still now. And the failure was also steeped in the fact that Raila Odinga himself had indicated in his will that he should be buried 72 hours after his death. Usually in his community, the mourning period is usually between 1 to 2 weeks. This now will have allowed them to plan elaborately for the same. But now, to meet his preferences in the will, these plans had to be done in a haphazard manner, and they definitely failed. Clearly, they failed to factor in these kind of issues. Calling people to receive the body at the airport was one of the biggest failures that have been singled out because they knew very well that Raila Odinga supporters can and usually are a bit uncontrollable.
So the state funeral is today. Tell us typically what happens at a state funeral in Kenya. What are we likely to see?
So far, the body of Raila Odinga was sneaked into parliament this morning. I think this is drawn from lessons that were witnessed yesterday, from what happened yesterday. So the body was supposed to be taken from the Lee Funeral Home where it has been lying since last evening onto another stadium that was set aside for that exercise. But since it was not taken to parliament as it is supposed to be for all national figures, it was now taken to the board to parliament buildings this morning as early as 6:30, and they chose to stay ahead of the crowds. So this is where now the dignitaries who are visiting, local and everybody else, heads of state, including I've seen President Yoweri Museveni there already, are supposed to view the body. and also members of the public will also be allowed to do the same before the body is now taken to the Nyayo Stadium where the funeral service is supposed to be held. And there, he is supposed to get military honors. After this event of public viewing, the military is supposed to take over and lead the service together with the Anglican Church, which Raila Odinga was a faithful of. So from there now, there will be speeches by local leaders, by foreign leaders, and family members. Now, after this is done, the military is supposed to hand over now the whole program to the family, from where the body is supposed to go to his Nairobi home in Karen, where he's supposed to lay instead. That's a traditional affair, which is very much amongst the Luo community where Raila Odinga happened to be from. And then tomorrow morning, the body is supposed to be flown to Western Kenya, Kisumu, and then later on driven by road to Bondo in Siaya County, where he's supposed to be laid to rest on Sunday. So today's event is basically a national thing that is supposed to be held, a ceremony that is supposed to be led by the military and members of the National Assembly, where Raila Odinga served for years before becoming Prime Minister after the contested 2007 general election. So just a government program. Then after that, they'll hand over the body now to the family, which is supposed to be now a family affair and community affair from today evening up to Sunday when he's laid to rest.
Alex, thanks very much indeed for that update. We'll leave it there.
Thank you very much, Peter.
Thank you. That's Alex Kairie, who's our correspondent in Nairobi, as ahead of Raila Odinga's state funeral later today. Morning.